Well, when we talk about good news, some that might not be very happy is those startups in the furniture business, whether it's Urban Ladder, whether it is Pepper Fry, or even those that are in the business of renting furniture like Furlenco. Why is that? Because the Indian government is looking at having some restrictions on furniture imports. What is this going to mean for the startup universe? What is it going to mean for all of you that actually maybe wanted to set up your first home, rent furniture, buy furniture? I'm going to be discussing that and a lot more with the founder and CEO of Furlenco, Ajith, who's joining us here. Hi, Ajith. Good evening. Thanks so much for joining us here on Startup Central. I'm sure you read the news report, like I read the news report, that India wants to look at imposing restrictions on furniture. Good news, bad news?
I think I stand in the mixed opinion camp. I'm not a big fan of protectionism per se. I believe in free trade. But just to clarify, from a furniture subscription perspective, this could probably mean good news because if you look at pure large-scale economics, if you bring in protectionism, if you're going to throttle supply and if demand remains the same, the prices are going to go up. So in effect, what I'm predicting is that furniture prices are going to go up, which may be good news for furniture rental perspective because things are only going to get more and more lucrative from a rental perspective. Why do you want to spend multiple lakh rupees when you can actually spend small amount of rupees? But then, the other side of the same opinion is that if you protect the country from importing furniture, are you going to ensure that there's going to be enough supply in the market? Are you going to support the real fact why it is being done, which is Make in India? Is there going to be tax stops given to manufacturing companies to set up industries in this particular area? So I'm not sure about those aspects yet. But overall, I feel I think it's a little bit short-sighted, but I may be wrong. I'm not privy to all the information at this point of time. That's my view at this point of time, Nayantara.
Right, but the point also is, Ajit, that we are living at a time when each country is looking more inward, right? It doesn't matter what India is doing, it has to see what other countries are doing as well. So keeping that in mind, and you've also got global players here, right? Like you've had to compete with the likes of IKEA as well. What is it going to mean for the industry at large? Would it also maybe incentivize you guys to not look at imports, but look at mass scale manufacturing?
Way, if we stick with the fact that Make in India is the core issue out here, and that we will support newer manufacturers to come in, that we are going to create SEZs for furniture manufacturing. For example, you have these SEZs for vehicle manufacturing. If that happens for furniture industry, as you know, Nayantara, furniture is 85% unorganized in this country. It's only 15% which is organized. So there's a long way to go from making this industry very organized. If that's the intention, if the government is going to support the fact that we are going to set up manufacturing base out here, then this decision is welcome. I mean, great, awesome. But otherwise, if you don't support the back end of it, the foundation of it, the concept of Make in India of it, then consumers are going to face the brunt of it because the prices are going to go up.
Ajith, since you are with us, give us a little sense of what it is that you're actually seeing in the market right now. You're a great guy to tap into to find out about, to get ideas of consumer insights. Are people spending more? How's business been?
Luckily, ours is a business which is more utilitarian rather than discretionary. You can put off purchasing of vehicles, you can put off purchasing of furniture, but you definitely need furniture. And ours is a model, we are into furniture subscription, furniture rental. Ours is a model which is much more easier to adopt. And we have not seen any kind of dip in consumer sentiments. In fact, we have been growing. We have been growing 70, 80% year on year, and we continue to grow. But what I'm hearing, as you can imagine, is a general sentiment where sales are a little dipping. People are holding back on their spends. People are not jumping into buying things. But caveat, it's not affecting us. Furlenco is not affected by any of those kind of issues, only because we are furniture rental and not furniture purchasing of it. But to answer your question, things are on the downside. Things are not as gung ho as probably a year back.
Downside, and if things could get worse if furniture prices go up, if the government were to get more inward, have restrictions on furniture imports and all of that. In the run-up to 1st February Union budget, what would be your budget wish list to Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman to provide an impetus to the startup universe and, of course, consumer spending?
Yeah, so let me put that in two buckets. Bucket number one, from a furniture perspective, furniture is 18% taxed GST. If you want to increase people to purchase more of furniture, then you want to reduce the tax off. Furniture is the third most expensive item in a house. You have real estate, you have cars, and then you have furniture. So if you want more people to purchase more furniture, then you want to make it more affordable. Now, if you throttle the import, we are saying $600 million worth of furniture is bought into this country every year. And if you're suddenly going to remove that from the system, so India first has to manufacture $600 million extra furniture, which will take time, but hopefully we'll catch up. But in the meanwhile, demand is going to be there, which means the prices are going to go up. Plus, if it is 18% of tax, you're only going to have people push away. So I would ask for tax ops to begin with, not 18%. Can we move it to like a 12% to begin with? So that's my bucket number one wish list. Bucket number two is more of a startup thing. We are saying this is the age of startups. You just mentioned in this particular program that HDFC is announced 100 crore per year kind of a SOP. I think we should continue in the same vein. One of the ways that you could support startups is by making ESOPs more tax friendly. Right now, ESOPs is just like your normal income tax. It's taxed at a very, very high rates. Can we bring that closer to a more of a listed share sale rather than what it is at this point of time? So that will be my startup wish list kind of a thing, where ESOPs are brought in under a more favorable tax regime.
And with that, Ajith, my final question to you. I understand that you're in the business of providing a utility, but it is the third most expensive commodity in a household. You just brought that up. You want to give us any trends that you've noticed? What's hot this season?
Living rooms as usual. I mean, people, they want the best living rooms possible. Trends are getting set up. Millennials, previously, I think furniture used to be bought by people who used to get married. I want to settle down, so I want to buy furniture. But now millennials are starting to express. People who are unmarried are starting to have better looking homes, and that starts from the living room. So I would say living rooms are the more trendier ones happening at this point of time.
So living rooms are more trendy at the moment. So much for millennials being minimalist and wanting to look at functionality, huh? With that, Ajith, thanks so much for being so candid, for joining us here on Startup Central. And here's an open invitation to join us once again after the union budget so we can decode the impact on the consumer as well as the startup space.
Thank you, Nayantara.
Right, with that, we're going to take a short commercial break, but stay tuned. You're watching a very special edition of the Startup Central. Guess what we have for you on the other side? It's an absolute treat. It's going to be the Snapdeal founders, uncut, candid, sharing how they escaped from the claws of death.